Hey y'all, today we've got the wonderful, multi-talented Emile Milgrim on the show. Emile is a Miami-based musician and teaching artist, the drummer in Las Nubes, and Mr. Entertainment and the Pookie Smackers, co-founder of the Miami Girls Rock Camp, founder of the Other Electricities record label. Emile plays in the largest Brazilian percussion collective in the US, and also is a part of the sound arts collective Archival Feedback. As you can tell, Emile is very busy and doing a lot of great stuff. I learned so much in this interview, specifically in her mixtape. I learned about a whole new world of music, Miami soul. And at the end, we do a South Florida draft. As always, if you go to tapeclub.substack.com, that's where you can keep up with everything that we're doing. All right, here's my conversation with Emile. All right, Emile Milgrim is here. Emile, thank you for coming on the show, coming at us from Miami.
Yep.
I was just telling you before the show, I grew up in North Florida, so we're like cousins. We're like little kindred spirits, except mine is more rooted in, I guess, being almost in Georgia, and you're almost in Cuba or something.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
you're like, Jacksonville's like actually like southern, whereas yes, Miami is fundamentally the Caribbean. So
a lot of people, let's put it this way: when people think of Florida, they think of you, not me. And when I say I grew up in Florida, I didn't really grow up in Florida, you know what I'm saying? So you live in Miami, you grew up in Miami. In between your two stints in the 305, you were in the 503, which is Portland, Oregon. What drew you to Portland? You spent a lot of time up there and did a lot of music-related stuff up there, right?
It was one of these things where a bunch of the kids that I grew up with, well, specifically like more in like high school era, one of them, who I still think should run for president, all things held constant. And, you know, if that were a real thing, decided Portland, we're all going to move to Portland. It's going to be a thing. We're all going to move there after high school or after college or whatever. And we were like, yes, let's do it. The best part of that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5 of us did. She did not. She moved to LA.
Wow, of course. Well, you know, in a way, she kind of skipped because a lot of people from Portland or who do music stuff or art stuff there kind of outgrow it eventually, and they always either move to LA or New York. So she kind of just went straight to LA, you know?
Yeah, she went to LA and then back to Miami and then to Detroit and then to Colorado and then back to Detroit. Now she's in Colorado. She's probably not listening to this, but I'm pretty sure I got that trajectory correct, but never lived in Portland.
I love that. I love bopping around from city to city. You get to experience stuff. You know what I mean? I think that's really cool that 5 of y'all all made that trip, because then you have like your little built-in community. It's so much easier kind of to get started and to get involved when you have a little group. Were these people involved in art, involved in music? Did they help you get a foothold there? Yeah,
some were, some weren't. And we were kind of varying degrees of close. So some of us were super tight. A couple of us were more peripheral, and that fleshed itself out similarly out there. But yeah, definitely music and visual art all around.
So how did you kind of find yourself fitting into the Portland art scene or music scene? It's very rich. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it does change. It's very tumultuous. It changes all the time. How did you kind of fit in? Were there like any certain venues that you went to? Or I know you started Other Electricities while you were in Portland. So tell me a bit about how you fit into the music scene there.
So I went out there thinking I was going to go to grad school. That lasted like not even a semester. I did not like it. And I was just like, fuck it. I'm going to not do this. And I'm just going to, I don't really know. I didn't have a plan after that. You know, just working in restaurants, so much service industry work when I was out there. That's basically all I did. And I was looking for folks to play music with. Craigslist was a thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Met some folks, started playing music with them. Met some other folks, started playing music with them. One of the musical ventures eventually turned into, this is a very condensed version of the story, but it eventually turned into the record label. The music thing didn't work out, but myself and the bass player really like clicked and decided to start a record label. So that's how that started.
And then what were some, were there any like specific venues or specific, like even record stores and stuff in Portland that, you know, were important to you?
Yeah. I spent a lot of time at Holocene. Doug Fir had like just opened shortly after I moved out there. I was at the first show at Doug Fir, which was, I can't remember if it was like a surprise, like this is what you're getting. But I was at that show and Quasi played, like Janet Weiss from Sleater-Kinney, and Sam Coombs. So that was really cool, and that became like a really special venue to me, just because I got to see that, and then I got to see so many other good bands there, so many other good bands at Holocene. Like I saw Bon Iver play to 50 people before that was a thing, like that kind of stuff, which was really, really special.
It's crazy to me that Holocene has been around that long, and Doug Fir as well. Like, so my
Doug
time
Fir
in
shut
Portland.
Down.
Oh, did it really? Okay, see, I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure Doug Fir's gone now.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me, because that entire block, that entire chunk of town has, you know, I lived there only for a couple of years, but in the last decade of that, it just looks totally different. I mean, there's gigantic high rises and whatever. That's a story of every city, I guess, but it is weird to see it strike Portland.
I've been back there on tour in the past few years, and man, it was just wild. I'm just like, whoa, this is not this place. And I was very, also before I say that, I like also shouts to like Crystal Ballroom. Come on. Like, what the fuck? I saw Guided by Voices there, and it's the only time I was ever hit in the head with a beer bottle at a show ever. Very appropriate, because it's guided by beer bottles. And what a great space.
Well, I remember one of the first times I went up there, they were doing this thing called Music Fest Northwest. It was like the first year that they tried it, and it was like at all these different venues. And I ended up in Southeast in some little tiny place that I don't know how often they had shows, but it was like this really, really small place. And I went to go see Wooden Indian Burial Ground, and I was like right in the front for it. And right after them was Unknown Mortal Orchestra, and I was just like right in the front. I mean, and we're talking, this stage wasn't like a stage. This was like about 2 pallets high, you know what I mean? It was a tiny little place. That kind of stuff was really cool. And I'm sure it still exists there. I just think that, like, because I don't live there, when I visit, I'm like, oh, it's all changed, but it's just different. I'm not part of that scene, right? So I don't know where that stuff is now.
Yeah. There was a little bar, I cannot remember the name for the life of me. And it was like just kind of randomly by one of the Red Line Max stop. And I saw Akron Family there. I mean, and this was like, the bar was so small. There must have been like 20 people in there. And I saw this singer from Leeds that I was so obsessed with then, and I'm still super obsessed with, this guy called David Thomas Broughton. And I saw him in this bar, and it was just me and a friend of mine and like 4 other people, and he was just like walking around. He like stood on our table, and like it was that.
There were a lot of places like that. Like my father's place is one that sticks out. That was
it wasn't my father's place.
Wasn't that place? Yeah. There's also like Star Bar was like a place that was over there that was fun.
This was like it was like nondescript, and it was just like it was almost like where the baseball like park is or whatever. You know, I think that's and it was like it was almost like in a little chunk of stuff where it's like, here's a smoothie cafe and here's whatever, and then here's this fucking door. And inside is a bar with Akron Family playing on a Wednesday night to like 20 people.
Yeah, and that's really cool. I feel like I maybe when I lived there got the tail end of that, but I got the beginning of that gentrification. Akron Family, I think, is it Seth Alinsky? Is that his name? He's one of the people in it. I might be confusing him.
That sounds maybe okay.
I've worked in the past with Treefort Music Fest, and they did a thing where they did a thing called Band Dialogue, and it was a lot of bands who would get together in like a parking lot or whatever. This was curated by the festival, and they would line up in like a big circle, And in the middle would be Seth from Akron Family. I think he's from Akron Family. And he would be conducting like this big band orchestra, basically.
That's cool.
They only had like a day to put it together, so it was very basic stuff, but he'd hold up like a paper that said like D minor, and everyone would be like, wow, wow.
Yeah.
So it's a big droney, really cool experience.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something you would probably enjoy because it really was like a sound art thing. It was a performance.
I've played a couple times with Tatsuya Nakatani. Do you know this guy? He's really, really cool. He's based in New Mexico, I believe. And he does this thing called a gong orchestra. So he's a percussionist, but he travels around the country and he has all of these gongs, and they're insanely big. Some of them are like whatever, 16 inches, maybe like a little bit. And then some are like bigger than me. And he gets a group of people together in a given city, and you go through like not even one day, but just a one session kind of training of how to play the gong and how he conducts and all of this stuff. And then you do a show, and it's so cool. And I've done it twice, and it's just like, it's different every time because it's all improvised and he conducts you, and I love that stuff. Playing
in a big ensemble like that is really interesting. I've never done it. I'm not like a good enough musician, I think, to do that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I always play kind of by myself. And, I don't really mess with, a lot of programming and electronic stuff. I do play like pianos, guitars, basses, just normal classic, whatever instruments. Mm-hmm. But I do it by myself. I very rarely am playing with others. So to think about being in a big ensemble like that is really overwhelming to me personally. You seem to do it a lot. You mentioned before we started that you play in the largest Brazilian drum ensemble, maybe, or tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so it's currently the biggest Brazilian percussion ensemble in the United States. As of now, I think we're 83 people, which is percussion ensemble. Like if you're talking about like stuff in Rio, it's way more than that, but in the US, this is huge. We have it's fundamentally a samba school, Escola de Samba, called Miami Bloco. So that's like a bigger thing where, there's dancers, there's hype people, there's people waving flags, there's all that stuff. And then there's the bateria, which is the drummers. And we're called Bateria Saideira. And that's what I play in. So yeah, we're 83 people, each playing one single drum, different ones, and are conducted by one director and then some other like sub people, just because visually, like it's really hard, especially for like marching and parading. Like you have to have other people like throw in the hand signals and things like that. So yeah.
I wonder, so with 83 people, I imagine, right, there's a lot of cover, meaning if you kind of flub something, it's all right, you're kind of covered. Is that true? To what extent is that true?
That is very true with most, if not all of the instruments. Some of the sections are really, really more fleshed out than others. Like the section I play the caixa, which is like a snare drum. And we have two different types. We have embaixo, which is you play it down, cima, which is you play it up, and the patterns that you play, the traditional patterns or whatever, are different. But that entire section is like 20 people. So if you need to stop, which is more like, in terms of flubbing, it's not so much that, like, I feel like people play pretty consistently, but sometimes you just need to stop because it's too fast or you're tired or, your brain needs a break. And that's the first thing, especially in that section, that we tell everyone. If you need to stop, stop. Like, you don't have to play all the notes. Everyone else is playing. We're never all gonna like accidentally stop at the same time and make it weird, So
yeah, it's not like, for example, in Las Nubes, if you stopped, then suddenly there's no drums.
And that happens. I mean, I don't try to, but sometimes, shit happens. Things fall, things break.
What are some of like the differences? I mean, obviously, when you're part of a big collective like that, maybe you're only responsible for like, one drum or something. Whereas in a typical band, you're the drums.
Yeah.
But what are some of the differences that people might not know or might not think about, like between the two? Or like, is it in some ways easier to play in a band where you can control everything, I guess?
I don't know. I feel like the bateria is like, I've been playing in it for a minute, for more than a couple years now. And I feel like because of how well orchestrated and directed everything is, like, you know, the folks who run it put in a lot of work, and everyone who's in it also puts in a lot of work, to the point where a lot of this stuff, and also because of the very repetitive nature of a lot of the music, you kind of get into like a flow state. I feel that, like, when I'm playing, I have to also remind myself not to close my eyes sometimes because I'm so in it, and I have to be looking, you know, at directions. So I don't want to mess up and miss like a pause or miss a break or something. And so I feel like to me that's easier because I'm just I feel like I can actually let go, and I don't have to feel like so much is resting on me and that I'm in control of so much. And to speak to what you were saying about if someone flubs or if someone whatever, it's fine. Like, no one notices and everything keeps going. In a band, you know, I could play a perfect set, which very rarely does that happen, if ever. But if, you know, bass player messes up, guitarist messes up, someone misses a count, we can't hear each other, then it's just like, you know, that train is hard to get back on the tracks sometimes.
Sure.
You know?
I think you're the first drummer that I've had on this show. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. So cool. That's actually really interesting to me. How does the writing process work? And I'm sure it's different from band to band, obviously, but like in your experience, what's the writing process like for a band as a drummer? Is it a lot of the time, 90% of the time, I imagine you just come in and like, they're like, here's the song, figure out some parts? Or how often are you bringing stuff to the table? Yeah,
in bands where I'm, you know, in the band and I'm a, you know, also songwriter in quotes, that kind of stuff happens in any number of ways. Sometimes it's a riff, and, you know, Ale and Las Nubes, she'll send me a riff and be like, yo, here's this riff. And I'll mess around, come up with a beat. Or she'll send me like kind of like a, you know, an arrangement. What I like to do with that in that scenario is I'll listen to it a million times. Like, seriously, I'll listen to it for a week before I sit down and then try and do stuff. I also beatbox a lot in the car. And it's interesting because playing in the Brazilian group, we do a lot of that. There's a lot of singing the parts and also singing other people's parts, you know, kind of singing the drum melody, as it were. So I've kind of, you know, merged those two approaches a lot with writing drum parts when I'm given a bigger structure.
And is a lot of that maybe, you know, listening to it over and over again, kind of doing the drum parts with your mouth, is that to sort of just become one with the tune and like innately know it, so that way you just kind of know what's happening? You know, it's almost like its own form of practice, I guess.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me. I just feel that sometimes it's hard for me to, you know, hear something for the first time, second time, third time, and kind of like follow it and know, unless I'm like taking notes. But then I'm looking at notes while I'm trying to play, and I don't really like transcribing like drum music. It kind of, you know, I don't want to like write down what I'm intending to play in that way. So just kind of having it ingrained, that is really what does it for me. And then it'll, you know, when the song's like really, really, really in there and I'm practicing on my own, I don't play along to like a demo or to a recording. I kind of sing it, like, you know, I'm not singing the lyrics, but I'll kind of hum the melody and hum whatever as I'm playing. And like, I feel that's just like the ultimate, yeah, I fucking know this, because I can just do the whole thing while I'm doing the other parts, you know?
Yeah, it becomes like second nature. You're locked in.
Yeah.
with Las Nubes, so this is one thing I thought was really cool. Y'all got to play a KEXP like live set.
Yeah.
I think that I imagine that is like high up on a lot of bands' lists. Like that is super cool. So can you tell me a bit about that experience, how that went down?
Yeah, we had been working at that for quite some time, and we a couple years before we had sort of had it like we had like a hold because we were going out there to play a festival, and it was like, oh, we're gonna do this, and it was sort of like a little like, are we gonna do this? We have a hold, like what's happening? And regardless, the bass player who was going to come on that tour with us quit the band like 2 days before that tour. So that was instantly, well, whatever might happen at KEXP is definitely not happening. We can't, we can't
and
do
was
it like
that's
this.
That's because y'all would not want to like maybe not do your best at
Well,
that.
yeah, I mean, we were fortunate enough to have someone fill in on bass for the shows because we were on tour with El Shirota, and so our singer lead guitarist and their singer lead guitarist are a couple, so he knows all our songs. He jumped in, he played bass with us because we were a package tour, so it worked out, aside from one time when it was a festival date and they had to play a set that started in the middle of one of our sets, so he played half of it with us and then ran, and then we played as a duo for the rest of the set, which was really funny. Yeah, but we didn't want to like, do the KEXP thing, but we had gone there. And when we were there, we got to watch some other people's set, and we were hanging out like with Cheryl and some other people we knew there. And she was pretty much like, sorry, this didn't work out. Open invitation for the next time you're this way. And it took a couple years to get that way. And it took, timing and finesse to be able to be there at a time where they could do it. And, and even just getting there was very hectic. We were on no sleep. Like, I don't know if you can tell in the video. I hope maybe not, but we were exhausted and delirious. And we had been touring as a 3-piece that whole tour. And then Nacho, flew in to be able to play with us so we could do KEXP as a 4-piece. It was, yeah, we like had to make it right.
I was going to say logistically, I mean, that is just, it's tough. Like if you're based in Portland, it's one thing to turn it down and go, we'll get up there some other time.
Yeah.
But you're literally as far away as you could possibly be. But also, I mean, kudos to have the discipline to turn it down and go, this is important. This is going to be preserved. This is going to be filmed. We want to do our best.
Well, and it was like, I mean, we had decided, well, obviously we're not going to do this. But then when we actually kind of got in the area, they were like, this wasn't going to work out on the schedule anyway. And we were going to tell you that. So it's sort of, we wouldn't have done it anyway. But yeah, it wasn't like turning it down and being like, we just fucked ourselves. It wasn't the right time.
Is it? So how does how does it work? It's like live to air, or do you guys get a couple takes at stuff?
We went, I can't even remember. We went in, we had to go in, set everything up. They had to get all the levels. They had to get all the cameras in there. They, whatever. And then we sort of, fundamentally we ran it like the whole thing, like almost one time, which was funny because in my opinion, I think our run through went better than the actual thing. At least like from where I was, positioned and what I perceived. Yeah, was it live to air? I actually don't know if it was. I feel like ours might not have been, because I think they have like 2 different ways of doing it. I could be wrong. Again, very, very blurry. They do a good job of making that room feel like infinite. Yeah.
And is it much smaller when you walk in, or you're like, oh wow, this is small, or is it like a real kind of big stage?
So we had seen it before, so there was no surprises because we went that day and they invited us to watch some of the sessions. It is it's not that big, but there's like behind it, it's kind of like a one-way glass. How does that work? 2-way? like you can't see out, but people can see in, whatever that fucking FBI shit is. So that kind of makes it look, I guess, wider than it is and infinite, and the way the lighting is. But yeah, it's not massive. Nah.
Well, you know, it's always those filmmaking tricks where like you think it's like so giant, and you're like, oh wait, just the lenses and the angles, and it's actually not that gigantic at all.
But we were indeed in a circle, like looking at each other, which that's actually my favorite way to play. I if I could play like that always, doesn't work out that way nearly ever. But yeah, it was cool. It felt good.
So I guess speaking of filmmaking, I'll make a quick segue into this. Tell me a bit about Archival Feedback. That is a collective you're a part of, I think.
Yeah, we're a sound art collective. My good friend and collaborator, Tom Wheeler Castillo, he's one of the folks who did the Portland move. So we did like the Portland jump and then the jump back to Miami together, like 8 years later. And when we moved back here, we decided it was kind of one of these things where we were like, we've like never made art or music together. What the fuck is that? So we started this thing. It's now in its 10th year of us creating work, and or maybe even longer. I think it's a 10th anniversary of the first record we released. But yeah, we work with field recordings sort of as a starting point, and do a lot of different things with them, transform them into soundscapes, do installations, immersive audio situations, deep listening workshops. And then we also make some visual work to accompany that. So we've done prints, broadsides, zines, videos, but yeah, everything's fundamentally based around field recordings and mainly nature field recordings.
So you had mentioned before we started about something you worked on that had been, was it making like festival rounds or had been widely recognized? Is that related to Archival Feedback?
Yeah, it's a film called River of Grass. Premiered in, was it March of this year? Which we only have 3 days left of this year. It's the director's named Sasha Wartzel, and we met her when she was in residency, this thing called AIRI, which is an arts residency in the Everglades. We had done it the year prior. We were introduced to her by a mutual friend because she was looking for people who do weird shit with sound. We like hit it off immediately. 7 years later, including a pandemic, there's a film. So Archival Feedback contributed a lot of the sounds that make up the sound design of the film. We also have one original composition that is, you know, kind of at this like high point where a bunch of crazy stuff happens. So that's in there. And then I was also the music supervisor on the film. So just kind of very, very in that. And it's done pretty well. It's a really important documentary. It's kind of telling the story of the Everglades and activism through retelling a lot of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas's work, River of Grass, the book she wrote, and then some current day activists, residents, people who, you know, live in and live for the Everglades and its preservation and how important it is to the ecosystem. So,
yeah, I mean, that sounds amazing. It's an important thing to do. And, you know, working on a documentary specifically in the music or sound part of it is really, that's like the unthanked work, I guess, you know, where people, if you do it super well, people like, yeah, they'll notice it, but mostly people aren't like listening for it or watching for it.
Yeah.
Like I work in post-production, so editing is very similar where it's like, a lot of, I don't agree with this, but a lot of people say like, you know, you don't notice the best editing. It's like, well, I guess, I don't know. Maybe my brain just thinks about it all the time. So
yeah. I feel like, at least with Archival Feedback stuff, and especially in context of this film, it it really did get noticed a lot, but I think it's because a lot of what we do is really unconventional. And then, you know, anyone making sound, making music, making whatever, you know, you have like at least in my experience, you have kind of like a secret sauce that is like, you know, yep, that's guided by voices. I'm just, you know, thought of them because I had mentioned them earlier. You know what I mean? Like, that's My Bloody Valentine. Like that is nobody else. So I feel like we have this kind of sonic signature with what we do. So it is sort of a little more salient. I don't want to say a little more salient than anything else, but you know, it's atypical enough that people will be like, huh, interesting choice, you know?
It'll make people lean in and listen to it a little more closely. Yeah. One last thing I want to talk about before we go to break, and you know, we're already a little over time, but it's okay. This is something I was really stoked to read that you are a part of. It's called Miami Girls Rock Camp.
Oh yeah.
It's been going for over a decade. I think it is so important to give young people like the option to make music. It is, it's not something I grew up with. I grew up in sports. That was my thing. And it wasn't until I was like 19 or 18 that I like was like, whoa, you can like make music.
I didn't start playing drums till I was 22.
Right. And so I was going to ask you about Miami Girls Rock Camp. Tell me a bit about that and how did you get involved in it? What were some of the driving factors to go, whoa, I want to be a part of this?
I mean, you know, rock camps had already existed all over. So we founded it in 2014. Rock camps had already existed all over the country and in other countries. You know, the first one was founded in Portland.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
actually.
Which, you know, I didn't really know about it when I was there. Otherwise, I would have volunteered my ass off with that organization. But I somehow like totally missed that. And when I moved back to Miami in 2011, and someone else in the local music scene, her name's Steph Taylor. She also currently plays in Las Nubes, and we've done a million things together over the years. It was she sent me a drunk email one night and was like, hey, do you know about like these rock camps? It looks pretty cool. I think we should start one in Miami, and I think you should start it with me. And I replied, I was like, okay, cool. I'm down. So we started one, and it's still here. Yeah. 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 It's funny. I love those. There was like one time where I was texting with a friend and I was like, I'm drunk. And she's like, oh, cool. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I just got renter's insurance. And she's like,
nice.
Wow, you're the type of person who gets drunk and gets renter's insurance. Like, what the fuck?
I think that this tape club thing is kind of, me and Graham may have started it similarly. I think it might have been a similar idea.
Yeah. I mean, for every 1 billion drunk ideas that don't happen, one does. And, you know, if it's a good one, it sticks.
Yeah, sometimes it'll lock you in for 10 years, you know, like Miami Girls Rock Camp.
There you go.
Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back from the break, we're going to get into your mixtape, which is also very community-minded, very based in Florida. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with the mixtape, and this one blew my mind. I will say, I listened to it, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, there seems to be a theme going through it tonally, but there's also more than that. There's a theme in terms of the geography of it. So tell me a bit about, big picture, what this mixtape is, how it's themed.
This mixtape is very, very simply Miami soul. It's soul and R&B, but more soul leaning, maybe a little funk leaning, from Miami, from labels based out of Miami, late 60s to mid 70s. And I went ahead and chose tracks sung by some of the women stars of that era.
I mean, it's amazing. I did not know that Miami soul was a thing, which is a huge blind spot for me. And I'm so happy that I've gotten to listen to these. And I'm happy that the listeners and viewers are going to get to as well. Let's start with the first one. Gwen McCrae. The song is Rockin' Chair. So tell me a bit about this one.
This one is a little bit later for her. I can't think of the year off the top of my head. I feel like it might be 74.
But Gwen McCrae had a career before that as well.
Yeah. That's why, like, you know, she was doing stuff with Deep City label. This track did not come out on that label. So she was already, you know, sort of known. And this kind of takes on a little bit of, it's almost disco leaning, but not, you know, not like disco, not like dancey disco. So I guess funk in that sense. Man, it's just like, that song moves. Like, I dare anybody to listen to that song and not feel some rhythm. And, you know, it's just like, it's so sexy and it's so smooth. And yeah, I don't know, that's what I got. I DJ a lot. Like, I play like soul records a lot, and I throw that down every damn time.
Do you have this one, like a physical copy of it, or is it just a... Oh, yeah, you do? Okay.
I think I actually have 2 copies of it, two 45s. It's funny enough, I have all of these things that are in the mix on vinyl. A couple of them I do have 2 copies of just because, or even more, just because it's just like essential, and if one gets fucked up, I don't want to be without another one. Like that kind of thing.
This is a treat for the listeners because they're getting basically a free set from you right now. You know?
A little bit. I don't want to not point out Numero Group because they did do 3 compilations that have some of this music on it, and they were really pivotal in bringing a lot of this music to the public when they did the Deep City label and then Outskirts of Deep City. And then they also did the Saida label one, which is the more recent one. And those are all Miami-based labels. So they did a lot of work and a lot of research to kind of unearth some of that stuff to a bigger audience.
Hey, amazing. Shout out to Numero Group. Yeah. I've reached out and tried to get someone from Numero Group on the show. I'm going to keep reaching out. We're going to eventually. It would be sick to get someone from. We got a response. The response was, "Let me see," and I don't think we ever heard back. But shout out Numero Group. They put me on to a ton of stuff, and they're incredible.
Yeah, they're doing the Lord's work. If you know the Lord existed.
That's true. Let's listen to a little bit of "Rockin' Chair" by Gwen McCrae.
Hell yeah.
Good loving daddy. Ooh, let me be your rocking chair. Just rock me away from here. Let's get it on.
Next up, Helene Smith with I Am Controlled by Your Love. So tell me a bit about this one.
Helene Smith is the crown jewel, I think, the queen, which they actually call her, of Miami soul. Man, this is like the most bittersweet, sad bastard shit. It's so good. It's so rich. It's so deep. I don't even like it. It gives me like Irma Thomas vibes, but like more raw, which is pretty impressive. And I've spent different periods of my life obsessed with this song, just like on repeat. Yeah, it's just bittersweet. It's just real. I love it so much.
Helene the Queen Smith over here. Let's listen to a little bit of it. Here is I Am Controlled by Your Love.
By your love, I'm controlled. By your love, oh, yes I am.
Next up, Della Humphrey with Don't Make the Good Girls Go Bad. Tell me a bit about Della Humphrey.
I don't know much about her, but I know that this tune is a huge collectable tune for people who buy 45s and stuff. Like this.
Why is it collectible? Because it was rare? It wasn't
rare,
pressed?
And it's also a banger. Like it is so like folks in like soul circles in general, you know, all over the world. This is yeah, this one's great. And she has that, that sort of like that, intonation to her voice. It's almost like teenage, you know what I mean? So it's like a little bordering on girl group, you know? It's just raw. It's just, yeah, I like these kind of like, you know, telltale, like warning love songs that, you know, came out in the 60s, like, yeah, girl group stuff. So this takes that and it's like the punker version of that.
When you're DJing, do you lean a lot on Miami soul stuff, or do you kind of have range? It depends on what the event is, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I play soul, funk, R&B. I play a little bit of reggae stuff, depending on the context. And not necessarily very Miami heavy, but if there's something calling for it, I will go Miami heavy. So
the reason I ask is because I wonder, have you ever like DJ'd somewhere outside of Miami and brought this type of stuff and then been recognized, like other DJs have been like, oh shit, like that's Miami soul. Like I don't really ever hear that much of that, or I don't play that. Because you mentioned it's a collectible, so it makes me wonder, like, does it have a reputation in the soul circles?
Yeah, so the Della Humphrey, I do not have a 45 of that. I have that on the Miami Sound comp that Soul Jazz Records put out. So number one, I just have, you know, a kind of generic version of it. I have not had the opportunity to take my soul records out of Miami and DJ other places. If anybody's listening and wants that, holler. Yeah, no, it's just, I guess when you're just in that world and music you're listening to and music you're collecting, you find out about the stuff, you know, what people are looking for, what people are interested in, you just hear it. And that, I mean, that's that one. It's just like, people just know it. It's just good.
You know what you got to do next time there's a Las Nubes tour, bring a couple boxes of 45s.
So we've talked about that. Like me and Ale have talked about that, because she DJs, I DJ, sometimes we DJ together, and we've sort of been like, can we try and book, because you see all these lineups where it's like hot chip DJ set, DJ set. Like, get me that Las Nubes DJ set where we can throw that stuff down, which we do here, but not other places. I would love to do that. So easy to just bring a bunch of 45s and do a set. So. Well,
hopefully it happens. Let's listen to a little bit of the rare one, Della Humphrey, Don't Make the Good Girls Go Bad.
'Cause if you make us do wrong, we may never be good again. So listen, don't make the good girls go bad, no.
Next up, Betty Wright with Clean Up Woman. So tell me a bit about this one.
So Betty Wright is also a Miami celebrity, incredible singer. And she was associated with the Deep City label, which is kind of the, you know, ultimate Miami soul label, albeit short-lived. And she really took off. And was sort of kind of like Gwen McCrae in that regard, working in a lot of the, you know, proto disco, like funk stuff, and then continued on after that doing, you know, more 80s, I would say like 80s sounding soul and R&B, you know, so when like the synths started happening and the drum machines and that kind of stuff. She also was a very faith-based person. So she did gospel sort of things. She was also educator, vocal coach. She worked with a ton of people, a lot of them down here.
She was kind of like a superstar.
Yeah.
She's not, because I know numero groups sometimes will put out stuff where it's like lost, whatever, like here's a random one-off, like this person only did 2 singles. That's not Betty Wright, though. Betty Wright has had a long, fruitful career.
Yeah, Betty Wright had a huge career, and it's not, I mean, her popularity and people knowing about her definitely predates, you know, numero group or soul jazz or anyone putting her on anything. And she stayed active for a really long time. I met her once. I went to like a lunch. Wow. I mean, you know, she's around, like, you know, I went to a lunch once for the local Grammy board, and she was there. Super nice lady. She passed away a few years ago. But there's like a video on YouTube, and it's like Betty Wright. I don't know if is it like the longest note ever or the highest note ever. There's like some video of her doing some crazy shit. Like, this woman could sing. This woman could fucking sing. Yeah, and she was really active in the community, and just like, if you're from here or have been here long enough or whatever, like, everybody knows Miss Betty. You know, it's just like, that's Betty Wright. Like, yeah.
I think it's really cool that you're leaning into the community part of this with your mixtape, and also kind of like everything you do, really. But it's funny because, so this is going to come out January 8th.
Okay.
And the episode that comes out before this is about someone from Boston who's really involved in the Boston DIY community. So there's like, the mixtape from last week was a bunch of Boston DIY bands, and this one is a bunch of Miami soul bands. It's just cool. We're getting into the communities.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's not to say, you know, there's so many hands in all of this stuff that happened in Miami. It's a bigger conversation for a different time, just in general. But, you know, it really was very like community and family based, like making a lot of this music, especially, you know, the deep city stuff, you know, the folks writing and the folks playing, some of which are still alive and around today, which is really cool.
Amazing. Let's listen to a little bit of Clean Up Woman by Betty Wright.
Was my ruin, 'cause I found out all I was doing was making it easy for the clean up woman to get my...
Next up, we got Lynn Williams with It Takes Two. Tell me a bit about this tune. Do you remember maybe how you discovered this one?
This is one that I believe was one of the, was it a numero one or was it, I'm trying to remember if it was a numero one or if it was on something else. It was one of the, Henry Stone. He was a local producer down here. So yeah, so that wouldn't have been on the numero thing. I can't remember the track listing.
It says here that it was, the label is AOE.
Right. But is that Athens of the North who did the reissue?
Oh, it might be. I'm so bad with all the labels.
I think the original track came out on Dade Records. So one of the counties we have here is Miami-Dade County. So, that's like a Henry Stone thing, which he was just so well known for producing amazing soul stuff down here. And so, yeah, it's just another jam.
I think it's so interesting. I think because we talked about this, I believe it was before we started the segment, that you picked these like off the top, basically. Like you knew these, they were in your knowledge bank. I feel like if I was given the exercise of make a mixtape, my first stop would be like, all right, let me start like looking at playlists I have.
I couldn't remember the name of one of the songs. I had to look it up. I remembered the group, but not the name. But yeah. It's
very impressive. I mean, this is deep musical knowledge. So I'm impressed. Let's listen to a little bit of Lynn Williams, It Takes Two.
What is it gonna be? It takes two fools to make you lose. It takes two minds to make you groove. It takes two lovers to make you move. It takes two people.
Next up, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The song is There Must Be Something. I love the name Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those are three of the best days.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about this tune.
So this is another Henry Stone produced one, I'm pretty sure.
Damn, shout out Henry. I
know, yeah. And I found out about this track from my buddy who goes by DJ La Spam. He is he's a local legend as well. And he DJs, he produces, he has a group called Spam All Stars. And we were my other band, Mr. Entertainment and the Pookie Smackers, we were recording at his studio one day, and he was just kind of playing tunes in some downtime. I believe that's how it happened. Whatever. And this was one of them, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I hadn't heard it before, even though it was like a locally produced thing. So So
Man, shout out to DJ La Spam.
Yeah.
I'm looking up DJ La Spam, and it says that the Spam All Stars has been around since 93 or 94. And when I Googled this, there is a VW bus looking thing. Tell me a bit. What do you know? Do you know what that is? Like, what is that?
he DJs out of that thing. So he'll
That's
take
crazy.
it to places
So he'll
and
just
set
pull
it up.
up?
He'll just pull up.
What? How often have you seen him pull up somewhere?
A lot. I used to, for 11 years, I worked at a record store called Sweat Records. And when we would have like record store day or some other events, we'd have them roll up at like 7 a.m. And just DJ out of the bus for people standing in line. Like we weren't even open yet, you know?
Is his bus like off limits to other DJs? Is it's like a no, only I control the decks up here? Or
Yeah, do you get... it probably is, because I feel like it's kind of rigged. You know, he has it like set up for him. It might be a little challenging for someone else to use that setup. I don't know. I've seen it. I've never touched it.
I'm just saying you could take some inspiration, and there we go. That's the Las Nubes DJ thing we're talking about.
We turned the tour van into also a mobile DJ situation, and
rent DJ La Spam's bus and just wrap it in a temporary Las Nubes art.
Yeah.
Let's listen to a little bit of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with There Must Be Something.
There must be something I can do to make you love me too. You have aroused my desire.
And then the last track on your mixtape, very fitting. It's called It's All Over.
That was intentional.
It's by Pearl Dowell. Tell me a bit about this one.
That's another one that was via I found out via Numero Group, actually, because they released a follow-up comp in the not follow-up, but in their Eccentric Soul series. They did those Deep City comps, which those were Miami, and then they did man, I'm trying to remember the second name and I can't right now. The Saida. Oh, it's the Saida label. I was saying it correct. I don't know why I thought it was two labels together, because sometimes they'll do, you know, two labels together on those comps, but it's just the Saida label, which is a like post like so the Deep City stuff kind of crumbled, and then the Saida label took its place. And so some of the folks who were involved with Deep City were also involved with that, and then there were other people. But you know, as with Deep City, the Saida label didn't last too long either. But man, there's some good stuff that came out of it. So
I imagine these labels probably don't last long because it's hard to make money making music, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's also another conversation.
Yeah, that's a bigger topic.
Yeah.
Well, let's listen to a little bit of Pearl Dowell with It's All Over.
But baby, it's all over. It's all over for you.
All right, so there it is. That is your mixtape, very Miami Soul focused. Were there any honorable mentions that you have that you want to throw in there, or are you kind of cool with where you?
I capped it there. A lot of these, because I was trying to stick to the women. It's like these are some of the women. There weren't that many recording during this time frame, but I would on the not woman side, I would give out like a shout out to Clarence Reed, because he was, you know, an incredible writer, an incredible player, incredible performer. And he did so much of that Deep City stuff. He later was reincarnated as Blowfly, if anyone's familiar with the story.
Wait, can you tell me what the story is?
He was a soul and funk, you know, singer, writer, whatever, for years and years and years. And then he came back as Blowfly, which is just like this kind of like dirty comedy rapper / singer. And he wore like a whole getup, and he would do parodies of soul songs. So like he would do Shitting Off the Dock of the Bay, like that kind of stuff.
Jesus Christ.
Which it's just one of those things where like, this is one of the most brilliant writers, musicians from here. And then he decided to just go like complete ham with it.
I mean, I actually love that. This is the best honorable mention that we've had so far. Blowfly.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. This is so cool.
There's a documentary, like the weird world of Blowfly, I think it's called. I mean, he did a bunch of tours as Blowfly, and yeah, he'd be doing like soul and funk tunes, but parodies. I can't think of the name of another one off the top of my head, but like,
it's almost like some Weird Al type stuff, but it's probably
Yeah.
before that, because it seems like he started doing this pretty early.
There's like a whole thing where some people are like, that's the guy who invented rap. You know, I don't know. You know, that's for other scholars to debate. But
One little thing I see on Wikipedia, the sentence says, Blowfly has been described as the root of gangsta rap. So
okay, so maybe
shout out
gangster
Blowfly.
rap specifically, and I could see that because, you know, he was working in a soul centric arena, and you know, gangster rap loves a soul sample. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, what an honorable mention. I'm going to have to go look that one up. I got a lot of research to do after this. I got to dig into Miami Soul, and I got to look up Blowfly. Let's
Yeah.
take a quick break, and then we'll play a little game, and we'll get the hell on out of here.
all right.
All right, we're back with the game. And yes, the game is one of my favorite things, a little draft. This is going to be the South Florida draft. So South Florida and North Florida and Central Florida, Emily, are all very, very different. In a quick nutshell, can you like kind of tell the people who may not know, who think Florida's one thing, what makes South Florida like its own thing?
South Florida, specifically Miami-Dade County, is basically not the United States. It's kind of more the Caribbean and Latin America. And yeah, it's a different world. It's not what people think in terms of Florida, of it being Southern or or super American even. So, yeah.
So here's how the South Florida draft is going to work. We're each going to draft 4 things for our South Florida team or whatever, and we'll go alternating. And if one's off the board, the other person can't take it. So let's start with you. Why don't you pick the first overall pick of the South Florida draft?
I'm going to pick the one thing that I think could possibly land on your list and knock it off the board. I'm picking Flanagan's. Do you know Flanagan's?
I don't know Flanagan's. Tell me a bit about it. Flanagan's
is a restaurant chain down here, and they also have like a liquor store arm called Big Daddy's. And it's just like my buddy Steph Rubino likes to say, it's a solid B-. You always know what you're in for. It's affordable. It's not over the top. It's good bang for your buck. You know, just your typical, you know, American fare, sandwiches, ribs, wings, that kind of stuff.
I've got to try it next time I go down there. I've
Well,
never been
and
to
the thing with Flanagan's is if you order a beverage, you get a souvenir cup every time. So in South Florida, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody's home without one of these big green Flanagan's cups. It's just a thing.
I
awesome.
wonder, I've probably drank out of one of those that at some point. I just didn't know what it was.
Or puked in one, or peed in one. Or I mean, they're very big and they're multifunctional. So, yeah.
So Flanagan's the overall number 1 draft pick. Okay, for my first pick, I'm going to go with, I'll keep it in the food realm as well.
Okay.
I'm going to go with pub subs, public subs. It's technically like, you know, I don't know, nationwide at this point, I guess, or at least all up and down the East Coast.
Like up through like the Carolinas, right? That's where Publix
we got them.
stops?
We got in Virginia too. So,
oh shit!
But I'm gonna take the pub sub because for me, when I was growing up, that was a very Florida thing, and you know, again, maybe not specifically South Florida, but it's got to be my number 1 pick. I love the chicken tender sub.
I was gonna say, are you a chicken tender guy? Yeah,
that was the first time I ever knew you could put chicken tenders in a sub, and
brilliant.
I think I must have gained like 15 pounds when I found that out. You know? But shout out to the pub subs.
Okay.
What do you got for your second pick?
All right, the next thing I'm going for, manatees. There are
manatees,
fucking manatees everywhere. It's
Good.
so cool.
Yeah, good pick. So people who don't know Florida probably don't know how gentle and beautiful manatees are. They're kind of like, you can like swim with them and they're like really kind. They're not ever going to hurt you.
And here's a fun thing, like going back to archival feedback. We've done a bunch of manatee recordings over the years. And the first very successful one, we were out with a scientist recording some stuff at the Deering Estate, and we got some manatees. We're recording them, and there's this sound, and I'm like, wow, it's really pretty. It was this like bubbly, like melodic, like tinkly sound, and I'm like, what is that? And the scientist listened, and he's like, oh yeah, they're farting. So there is some gorgeous manatee farting happening all around our waterways, and it's just brilliant.
That's amazing. I remember as a kid, we would go on, there's like field trips to a place called Silver Springs.
Oh, yeah.
And you go on a glass bottom boat
Yep.
and you can see manatees. So
Oh, yeah.
that was really cool.
So cool.
I'm going to follow you in the animal category here. And I've actually got 2 animals on my short list.
Okay.
But I'm going to go ahead and pick the more iconic one. I'm going to pick the Florida panther
Hell
as my
yeah.
pick. I hope they're still around. They were an endangered species when I was growing up. And I remember my license plate, first ever license plate I got the Florida Panther license plate.
Nice.
So that was really cool.
Nice.
There's also a hockey team called the Florida Panthers.
And they fucking rule.
Wow. Okay. So we got my best friend of we've been friends since like 5th grade. He's been a diehard Panthers fan since he was a little kid. And I always supported him, was like, I'll claim them as my second favorite team. And then they won, and now it's a total heel turn. I hate that team now.
I'm not a hockey person, but it cracks me up that the fucking Florida team is so good.
Yeah, but so my second pick again, the Florida Panther, not the team. I'm taking the animal. Love that thing.
Yeah.
So did you ever see a Florida Panther in the Everglades when you were out there?
I did not, but Tom and I have worked with some recordings. Not that we took, unfortunately, but some archival recordings, and we did a performance actually at FIU earlier in the year called caterwaul, which is what you call the sound that a panther makes, a caterwaul. So we took some recordings of that and manipulated them live and tried to get people to make the sound along with us. That was not very successful. People don't like to make animal songs in public spaces along with other adults, or animal sounds rather, but we tried. So
yeah, that makes sense. I guess I'm not surprised you didn't see one. I feel like their whole goal is to like stay away from it.
yeah.
Let's get to your third pick. What do you got here?
My third pick, and this is very South Florida, is Spanglish.
That is an incredible pick. A steal third in the draft.
Yes.
You probably encounter Spanglish on a daily basis.
I speak Spanglish on a daily basis. I did not grow up speaking Spanish in my home, but it was everywhere around me, and it was in school. And they just, Spanish and English merge in these very funny, melodic, utilitarian ways down here. And it's great. I love it. I love people like stepping in and out of languages and then mashing them together and wrecking them apart. And it's fun. It's very musical to me.
Yeah, that's something that I just over the last probably 3 or 4 years started to like kind of accept, because I speak Russian. So as a kid, when I grew up, I was always like, oh, Russian and English, and they are always separate. If you're talking to Russian, you're talking to Russian, and if you're talking English, talking in English. But then it was like over the last few years that I was like, oh, Rusklish is like fine, it's cool, like whatever. It's just a different blend. The only reason that my parents, for example, would speak Russian is because they don't really speak English very well. So but for me, Rusklish, I can fucking do it. So I love that pick. Spanglish, a great linguistic pick.
Nice.
For my third one, I'm gonna try to kind of follow your lead with these. I'm picking Calle Ocho as my third pick.
Nice. That's a good one.
It's a cool place, maybe a little touristy. I don't know, because I don't really know Miami like that. I think I've been in Miami 2 or 3 times in my life.
It's touristier now more than ever, but there's still pockets.
Yeah, I just remember going there, and I really loved it. I also am a huge coffee lover, so I loved getting some coffee there. Just walking around, it was cool, and it was nice to get away from. We were staying near South Beach, and it was very nice to get away from that. I was not a big fan of that area. It felt a little too much going on. I was like, all right, I'm a little overstimulated. It had like a New Orleans / Times Square vibe. I couldn't even describe it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I get it.
So Calle Ocho is my third pick. What
Nice.
is your final pick for your South Florida draft?
Okay, my final pick is a total curveball, and we'll go back to sports for a second. So Miami had a WNBA team for like a hot minute. We don't have that anymore, but we do have the Unrivaled League down here, which started last year. It's a off-season women's basketball league, and you can see some of the best fucking players in the WNBA play 3-on-3 games over the course of 3 months down here. And it's incredible. And the new season starts on January 5th, and I'm so excited. And yeah, we have pro women's basketball here again.
That's amazing. And are these games like indoors, or they play them outdoors?
They're indoors. It's a really, really small little arena. They're 3-on-3 games. So, I mean, you're just watching some of the best talent from the WNBA just going at it. 3-on-3, shorter court, super fast games. It's just like, yeah, it's just like watching dancing, you know? It's so fucking cool.
That's amazing. I haven't heard of that, and I have some friends who are super into WNBA stuff who live in New York, and I think the Liberty they're good. They're really good.
Oh,
I
Liberty's
think
great.
they've won it a few, or have they gotten to the finals? I don't know, but
yeah, Liberty got pretty far last season, and the Unrivaled League, it was actually started by Brianna Stewart, who plays for the Liberty, and then Nafisa Collier, who plays for Minnesota. So they're kind of the folks who started this, and they both play on the league as well. And like Nafisa Collier is like my favorite player, so I'm just like, oh fuck, she like plays in the city. It's so cool. Yeah, amazing.
So the Unrivaled League, that's really cool, and that's probably a great thing to check out if you're visiting Miami in the wintertime.
If you can get tickets. It blew the fuck up. Like their valuation went insane after the first season. I mean, so many people invested in the league, and yeah,
amazing. I love it. The Unrivaled League, a great final pick.
Yeah.
For my final pick, I got a few here that I'm between. I'm gonna take Alligator Alley. Do you know what Alligator Alley is?
Yep. You're
Alligator
taught to fear
Alley.
it.
Yeah, it's like a stretch of, I think, I-75 maybe, where you're just on it and there's nothing, and you're kind of just going right through basically a jungle.
Yeah, last chance for gas. Like, pay attention to that fucking sign.
Have you driven on Alligator Alley before?
Yeah, multiple times.
Have you ran out of gas there?
Never.
Thank God.
I read the signs.
I don't know if I have driven on it, to be honest. So that, to me, maybe the reason I picked it is because it's this mythical, like, whoa, you're in this crazy land. And I bet when you drive through it, it's just like boring ass fucking straight line.
Yeah, it's nothing. And like the running out of gas, like you're in control of that, but you're fucked if you like blow a tire or something else because you're in the middle of nowhere. And before there were cell phones, fuck that. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a treacherous place and a important last pick of the draft. Any honorable mentions there?
What,
Are you good?
South Florida honorable mentions?
Yeah. I had one. I had a 1 p.m. 20-minute torrential downpour.
Ah, those are good. Yeah, I like that. The wow, it's like sunny and 95 degrees, and then all of a sudden, holy shit, all this rain. But it's raining across the street from my house, but not on my house.
Yes,
that's like that one.
That's a classic thing. Yeah, and then iguanas. The way, I mean, this is kind of sad.
There's
but the
an
way
iguana in my fucking window right now. They're always like harassing me, and a cardinal actually right now.
People don't realize that like iguanas are like a thing there. They're there.
They're
you know
just
what I
here?
mean? You see them.
Yeah.
I've heard in the winter though, it's kind of sad. They can fall out of trees.
We're gonna
if they freeze.
have that coming up this week. We're dipping into the 40s. So yes, beware of falling iguanas.
Damn. I hope that everyone who goes to Miami stays safe from these iguana icicles that are falling down. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about what you're up to and where they can find stuff, where they can find Las Nubes and where they can find some of like your work and what you're working on.
Yeah, I am on the internet. My handle on Instagram is Other Electricities. That's kind of what I do most things under. My other projects have Instagrams and other things. Archival Feedback. Las Nubes, Miami Bloco. I'm constantly doing stuff. Las Nubes, writing a new album, just put out a new record last week with my other band, Mr. Entertainment and the Pookie Smackers. Archival Feedback is working on a new South Florida-based documentary, doing some sound for that. That's all I can say about that right now. Yeah, I DJ all over the place. I also teach. If anyone wants to learn to play drums, call me.
Look, listeners, viewers, as always, if you want to keep up with the Tape Club, tapeclub.substack.com is the place to go. There you can sign up for free to get the newsletter and the podcast. If you sign up for the paid one, you'll get a weekly radio show that I do called The Word Cloud. You'll get access to some of these mixtapes in full. And every 3 months, you'll get 3 cassette tapes sent to you, one of which is a compilation.
Tapes are important. Tapes. A song off this tape will maybe end up on that tape one day.
On the March one, probably.
Yeah.
So there you go. You guys know what they are. They're these tapes. It's a great thing to be a part of, and I hope that listeners and viewers, you become a part of it. Emily, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a blast. I learned a ton, and I'm excited to dive more into Miami Soul and, of course, the great Blowfly. Let's
long live Clarence.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get the hell on out of here. Thank you for being a part of this. Listeners and viewers, thank you for listening and viewing, and I will see you next time. Peace. The J-Card podcast is a fully independent production. It is made possible by listeners and viewers just like you. So if you want to support us, tapeclub.substack.com is the place to go.